Hello everyone. So this is just a very quick overview of the SLE and PIP online feedback system that we will be starting this month. The first one for almost everybody will be on Tuesday, but please check the calendars that should be in your teacher's room so you know if you're doing an everyday class or 1 month or 2 month class or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, etc. Okay, just so you know which day it is. For most people there, like I said, it will be on Tuesday will be the first one. Okay, so we'll start off by looking at SLE, okay, and just the points to make sure everybody understands everything. This video or this presentation is very basic. There will be a better one coming out. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it ready on time. The system itself will be up on Monday, so at least then you'll have from Monday, at least 24 hours to get on and take a look at the system. All right, so let's start off with the SLE in-class report. Okay, so with SLE, as we have no final test, our main means then of assessing the students is going to be on the online in-class report. Okay, and that's what we're calling it. This is really an in-class evaluation. It's all about their performance. Okay, so every month, so we have always 2 month courses with SLE, so the 7th and 14th day. So during class, when you're doing produce activities or different activities that are happening in your class, make sure you're familiar with the rubric, start using it. We are going to have a space on the attendance sheet, so next to the names of your students, you can be assessing them sort of during the first week. It's better to do it this way so that when you come and sit down to enter the scores, you've already thought about it. It's not going to be a brand new thing, okay, because it will just take you a lot of time to do that. So I would suggest make sure now that you have a look at the rubrics and so you feel familiar, but do them during the class, so, like I said, because you could have a good number of students. Okay, and the easiest thing to do, you can see over here, you simply go to participation, content communication, grammar, vocabulary use, and pronunciation. These have different weights and percentages, but you don't have to worry about that. You simply click on each one and you'll give them a score out of 4. So obviously using the rubric, you'll know from participation, barely participating, to participating well. So these are very universal. They're not level specific. Somebody at a low level, SLE1, could participate more than somebody at level 6, for example. Okay, and all of this is on pagoda.com admin, where you find everything at the moment. Okay, so the rubric is fairly simple. Okay, like I said, the 5 main areas. The 2 most important that we're looking at are participation and content communication. Okay, participation, obviously, how well are they doing in the activity in terms of participating? Okay, so starting at the lowest score, student answered when questioned without expansion or follow-up. Little participation in group activities, okay? Could be at any level. All the way through to students clearly doing more, enjoying it, engaging with each other. Content communication, that is how well they're actually doing those activities. Okay, and that has a lot more to do with their sort of communicative behavior between students, but also with the teacher. And then accuracy in terms of grammar and vocabulary is obviously taught language, target language. And then pronunciation. Okay, this is the only one that might be slightly biased depending on level, but it has a much lesser percentage in terms of evaluation. Okay, so at the beginning of the month or as soon as possible, go through this with the students. When they get the report online, it will be translated into Korean, so there will be a kind of correlation between that. But they need to know what is it they're expected to do, what are the basic sort of criteria. Okay, so students need to know that they need an average over the sort of 4 evaluations they will do in SLE of 15 to go to the next level. But there is a little bit of teacher discretion there. So if somebody's on the 14, one other time they got 15, next time 14, and you feel they could go to the next level, then you can adjust the score, but only by 1 point. Make that very clear to them. And then you don't need to print that out in the first month. When you have finished it, they will get a little report or an MSS saying, okay, ready for you to look at. You can print this out on the final day of each month. So they'll have like a month's worth of report. Okay, and they'll have a lovely snazzy report with pie charts and things on it and highlights. And then the comments that you put in are very important because you need to put 2 things in for comments. One of them will be obviously the score. The other will be what strengths they've displayed in the class and what advice you can give. So here it's important that the advice and the strengths are given a bit of thought. Don't simply say, well done, good job. It has to be, looking at your score, you can see that in participation you're doing very well, but in your content communication you need to try and expand upon your answers. You need to try to use the target language, or please listen to the audio files outside of class, try and work on pronunciation, things like this, but give them real constructive advice based on what they've received here. Okay, for PIP, this is a little bit different because we have two short systems that you have to follow. One very similar to to SLE, which we'll look at first, which is the in-class evaluation. Okay, so traditionally we only evaluated students based on test score. And we saw that kind of drop in attendance, or people coming and doing most of a month but then leaving without any real kind of evaluation because they didn't take the test. Okay, so even though we do have a test, and the test is still used to determine if they can go to the next level, we also want to give them a proper evaluation of how they've done in the class as well. Okay, because not every student is test centered. We know a lot of people come to PIP for that more kind of intensive, or what seems more intensive environment. Okay, so again, like SLE, this is done twice, both on 1 month and 2 month courses. So we have an in-class rubric to do this, and very similar again. You'll go on to just a simple drop-down menu, but the criteria and the total score is a little bit different. We don't need as many as SLE for this, so we just have discussion participation, okay, how well they're actually doing those things in class, the writing assignments, meaning the homework that is set, reading skills demonstrated in the class. This has a lot to do with critical thinking and things that we try to promote in PIP, and then the target language use that has been taught. Okay, and again, there will be a slightly different percentage that will go with these, but you only have to worry about giving a score out of 4. So totally, the score will be out of 16 each time that you do it. Okay, and the same thing, so when you're giving comments on strengths and advice, look to the language of the rubric, okay? Again, make sure that you understand it as much as possible, and then give your feedback and report. And the same thing with the report here, you give it out on day 20 of each month. And just once. So even if the student, for whatever reason, didn't do the assignments or doesn't complete the second month, if they're doing a 2 month course, they still will have this full report. And again, all of this is done on pagodaacademy.com/ad. Okay, the rubric itself, nothing too difficult. It should be fairly simple, but again, you'll need to be a little bit familiar with it. And once you use it a few times, you know, the difference between 1, 2, 3, 4 will be important. And again, it's universal. So if we look at discussion participation, you'll have to excuse me today. I think I've got my dog's teeth in. Number 1, student only expressed opinion when directly asked. Response was limited and lacking in exploration of topics or skills. We've all had students in PIP that could describe 100F all the way up to advanced, okay? And it's important, again, at the beginning of the month that students are aware of how they're being evaluated. Writing assignments then, so this helps us with those students who don't really do it, or don't do it to a very good level, or we feel are just rehashing things, we can actually give them that score. And then reading skills, target language use. So if we use this, you know, students will become very familiar with it. It doesn't become difficult for them to use. Okay, so generally, as this is only an in-class performance report outside of the test system, we decided that sort of to be considered successful over the course of the different evaluations, 12 plus will be considered to have done really well. And this will also be helpful when you have those test scores, which we'll look at in a moment, that are on the border. Okay, maybe they got a little bit below the normal pass mark, but their actual in-class performance has been so good, they've maybe been getting in the high levels, that you decide that they would be all right to go to the next class. But identify that in feedback and comments. You know, what was it that they were slightly lacking in, or they've done really well in this class that means they can go to the next level. Alright, so the PIP test assignments are very different. We've got rid of the progress test that we used to do on day 15. It also means that we don't have that one sort of testing day, which really no one loves and means you have so much to do. So we have a speaking test, which is a presentation based on level and language taught and topics discussed. And then a couple of days later, or in the next month, if you're doing 2 months, we have the written assignment. Okay, so as you know, the new focus is on output skills. We're looking at speaking and writing, and then listening and reading is what is looked at in the classroom instead. Okay, so like I've said here, if you're doing a 1 month course, you will do speaking and the presentation, speaking, and the writing assignment in the same month. If you're doing the 2 month courses, you will do speaking in the first month, writing in the second month. Okay. So they will do the presentation. You look on your calendar, that will tell you when's good to do that, depending on if it's an everyday class or every other day class. And then we have the presentation rubric. So it's good to be familiar with this, but you will see this the first time when you're maybe sitting down watching the presentations. That can be a little bit difficult, so make sure you're familiar with it. But use this rubric here. The students, again, can be aware of this, but don't maybe give this to them because it could just be confusing. Okay, and broken down into preparation, organization, content communication, and conclusion. And if you go into the materials on Canvas, the suggested presentation topics at that level, it will be easier to put these into bands. Okay, but again, it's universal. When you come to do the writing, this is a similar or almost the same writing rubric that's used for the placement test. So we will give them a score out of 25 for this and a score out of 16 for this. Okay, so overall they will get a score out of 41. Oops, excuse me. Let's go back to there. Okay, so in the first month, if you're doing the 2-month course, they will simply get their written report about their class plus a score out of 16, and then in the second month, once they've done the writing assignment, we will add something out of 25 to that. So the total score is out of 41, and 32 is considered pass to go to the next level, and the system will pick up on that. But like I said, if someone's very close, 30, 31, and they've done so well in class, very good with their homework written assignments, for example, you might alter this score accordingly. And make a note of that, make it part of the feedback that you do. Okay, so in conclusion then, this new student care system is to encourage fuller and better evaluation of our students. Okay, the reason to have the rubrics and to have these sort of standardized evaluations and tests is to keep everything at the same level. We're using the same language, we have the same ideas about how to evaluate the students, and also it means we have a system that is very, very clear. We know exactly what is needed to pass. We're no longer guessing levels, we're following systems. But like I said, please, please, please practice with those rubrics. Don't leave them until you first sit down in front of the computer or first sit down in front of a presentation that your student's doing, because you will get flustered with it. It'll be difficult. The more you use it, you'll soon understand 1 to 4 in all the different systems that we're using, and then in the writing assignments, what is 1 to 5, for example. So it's fairly simple to use. Okay, so let's work together on this. Good luck on Tuesday. Let me know if there's any particular problems. But please, from Monday, go on to pagodaacademy.com/admin and have a look at it. Okay, and hopefully it'll all be very, very simple. Okay, bye-bye.